The bear, the perfect machine. Imagine you are walking through a forest in silence, only the sound of your footsteps on dry leaves. Suddenly, something moves in the bushes 30 meters away. You think it is a shrub shaking in the wind. It is not a shrub. It is a brown bear weighing 500 kilograms that has just lifted its head and is looking you directly in the eyes. Your heart races, your legs want to run, your brain screams a single word: flee. You have exactly 3 seconds to make a decision, and in those 3 seconds, the vast majority of people do exactly what they should not do. Today, we are going to take the bear apart piece by piece, from its nearly indestructible skull to an internal mechanism that scientists describe as a biological miracle. And I promise you something, when this video is over, you will never look at a teddy bear the same way again. 12,000 years ago, when human beings were still learning to mold clay pots, when there were no cities, no roads, no writing, he was already walking through these same forests. The brown bear. He was here before the first walls, before the first wars, before anyone thought to write a single word. He was already the absolute master of the forest, the very measure of wildness, the living symbol that nature is capable of creating masterpieces without blueprints or instructions. And humans knew it from the very beginning. They called him by many names. The Slavs said Medved, the one who knows where the honey is. The Finns held him in such respect that they did not even dare to pronounce his true name. They invented the word Karhu, which simply means the beast. The Yakuts called him Abe, grandfather. In every culture, in every corner of Eurasia, the bear always occupied the same place, the top. Not the wolf, not the tiger, not the eagle, the bear. In the caves of Altamira and Lascaux, archaeologists found paintings of bears that are more than 30,000 years old. The hunters of the Paleolithic drew them on the walls of their shelters, and they did not do it out of fear. They did it out of respect. They knew that before them stood a creature without equal on dry land. They were right then, and they are still right today. Today, the brown bear inhabits a range stretching from Spain to Japan, from Alaska to northern Mexico. Its distribution area is the largest of any terrestrial predator on the planet. It has colonized the Scandinavian mountains, the Carpathians, the vastness of Siberia, the Kamchatka Peninsula, Alaska, and the Rocky Mountains. It is the only species of large predator equally at home in the Arctic tundra and in a subtropical forest. This is not specialization. This is versatility in its purest form. Versatility taken to the extreme. The first step of a bear cub in this world is a step from darkness into light. When it is born, in the middle of January, it weighs barely 500 grams. It is blind. It is hairless. It is completely helpless. It has not the slightest idea that one day it will become the lord of the forest. Its mother, still half asleep, keeps it warm with her own body, while outside the temperature drops to 30 degrees below zero. 3 months later, that small ball of fur will emerge from the den and begin learning what it means to be a legend. But let us start with the main tool, the claw of the brown bear. This is not a weapon in the conventional sense. It measures between 12 and 15 centimeters in length. It is longer than your middle finger. The bear's claws do not retract. They are always out, always exposed, always ready. And they are not sharp like razor blades. They are blunt and curved, like the hooks of an excavator. The bear does not cut with them. It tears. It breaks. It moves tons of earth as if it were butter. An adult male brown bear weighs between 250 and 650 kilograms. In Kamchatka, specimens of 750 kilos have been recorded. When it stands on its hind legs, it reaches 3 meters in height. Imagine looking up at a creature the size of a basketball hoop. And now comes the important part. It is not a fat, clumsy mass. It is pure functional musculature. Every kilogram of that body works. Every muscle fiber has a purpose. In a short sprint, the brown bear reaches 60 kilometers per hour. Usain Bolt, at the very peak of his career, reached 44. This means something very specific. If a bear decides to chase, you You have absolutely no chance of escaping by running. None. Zero. This is not dramatic exaggeration, it is basic arithmetic. 60 against 44. That difference of 16 kilometers per hour is the abyss that separates life from death. And in water, things do not improve. The bear swims like a professional marathon swimmer. There are documented cases of bears crossing more than 100 kilometers in open sea, in water at 4 degrees Celsius, without stopping. A human being in those conditions loses consciousness in 15 to 30 minutes. The bear simply keeps swimming. The skull of the brown bear is a masterpiece of passive protection engineering. The frontal bone has a particular angle of inclination that causes bullets of small and medium caliber, such as those from a handgun, to ricochet without penetrating the brain. Experienced hunters know this. You cannot stop a bear with a pistol shot to the head. A reliable stop requires a high-caliber rifle, and even then, it does not always work. The bear's skin is attached to its body in a different way from most animals. It is slightly loose, like a coat that is 2 sizes too large. In a fight, this saves its life. If an adversary bites into its flank, the bear can literally rotate inside its own skin and launch a counterattack. The enemy has skin between its teeth, but the bear is already looking at it face to face, and then it strikes. The force of a strike from the front paw of an adult male exceeds 1,500 kilograms. With that blow, a bear breaks the spine of a bull, a moose, or a bison with a single impact. To give you an idea, the punch of a professional heavyweight boxer generates around 700 kilograms of force. The bear strikes with twice that power, and it does so with a paw the size of a dinner plate, equipped with claws. When a bear enters a state of fury, it becomes practically unstoppable. Its pain threshold shuts off completely. Hunters have documented cases in which a bear with its heart pierced by a bullet ran 100 meters more and reached its attacker. With a destroyed heart, 100 meters. This is not a campfire legend. These are official reports from hunting inspections. An enraged bear is a creature that does not yet know it should be dead. But the real superpower of the brown bear is its nose. The mucous membrane inside its nasal cavity has a surface area 1,000 times greater than that of a human being. It possesses 2,000 types of olfactory receptors, compared to our 400. The olfactory bulbs in its brain occupy a disproportionately enormous volume. The bear literally sees the world through smell, with the same clarity with which we see it with our eyes. Now come the facts that are hard to believe. A bear detects the smell of decomposing meat at 30 kilometers away. It can identify the trail of a deer that passed through a spot 2 days ago. A sealed tin can inside your backpack is not airtight to a bear. It perceives the smell through the microscopic gaps in the lid and through the smell of your fingers on the metal surface, even if you have washed it. At 5 kilometers away, with the wind against it, the bear already knows there is food in your camp. It knows what you had for breakfast this morning. It knows that the pocket of your jacket held a chocolate bar, even if you have already eaten it. The smell stayed impregnated in the fabric. To a bear, you are a walking beacon with a glowing sign that reads, "Food here." You think you are hidden. You are wrong. In 2008, at night, in Yellowstone National Park, a grizzly bear opened 11 vehicles in a row. It did not force the locks. It bent the door frames with its bare hands. It could smell food inside, not even the food itself, but the smell of food that had soaked into the upholstery of the seats. The damage exceeded $70,000. No tourist was injured, because the bear was busy with more important matters. It found some potato chips. In 2019, in Karelia, a bear took possession of a group of fishermen's boat while they slept. More precisely, it made its way to the boat because it smelled the fish, tipped it over, and selected the pieces of the catch that interested it. The fisherman woke up to the sound of splashing and discovered that the bear had already had its breakfast and was leaving with complete dignity, unhurried, like someone who knows perfectly well that it took what was rightfully its own. A normal day in the life of a bear begins at dawn. It is an early riser. The first 3 hours of the day are dedicated to hunting and foraging. Then it rests for several hours in the shade. Toward evening, it becomes active again. The daily route of an adult male can cover between 10 and 80 kilometers. The bear does not stay still. It is in constant movement, continuously reading the territory. The bear is a consummate opportunist. 70% of its diet is plant-based: roots, berries, tender shoots, nuts. It can spend hours digging into the earth in search of tubers or dismantling an anthill to extract larvae. It is not that it lacks standards. It is pure strategy. Plant food is caloric and available, but when the opportunity to obtain meat arises, the bear instantly becomes a predator. It hunts moose with a short and explosive charge, generally in shallow water, where the moose loses maneuverability. The bear jumps on top of it, holds it with its claws, and with a single blow of the front paw fractures the spine or the neck. The impact is so precise and so brutal that a moose weighing 400 or 500 kilograms stops resisting immediately. The entire process takes less than a minute. Bears love anthills. Zoologists have observed a huge male devoting 40 minutes to a single anthill, methodically tearing it apart layer by layer, licking ants and larvae with absolute devotion. The expression on its face was one of total happiness. The ants, for their part, bit its snout without pause. The bear sneezed, snorted, and kept eating, because larvae are a delicacy, and delicacies are not left unfinished. When a bear finds a wild beehive, nothing in the world is going to stop it. The bees sting it on the nose, in the ears, on the eyelids. It does not even flinch. A bee's stinger physically cannot penetrate its dense coat. The nose is the only vulnerable point, and the bear endures it stoically in exchange for the honey. Thousands of stings every single time. That is called knowing what you want. The territory of an adult male covers between 200 and 2,000 square kilometers. It marks the boundaries regularly, rubbing its back and shoulders against trees to leave its scent. And it makes marks with its claws as high up as it can reach, so that any competitor sees them and understands that someone very large lives here. The higher the mark, the more respect it commands. Some trees in the taiga are scratched at 2.5 meters above the ground. You can imagine who did that. Every autumn, in the rivers of Kamchatka and Alaska, a spectacle occurs that has no equivalent in any other ecosystem on the planet. The spawning of the Pacific salmon. The rivers literally fill with fish, and at that moment, on the banks, bears congregate. Dozens of them, sometimes more than 100. All have come for the same thing: to fill their stomachs before winter. And it is in this moment that the bear reveals itself from a completely unexpected angle. Salmon fishing is an art that bears learn over years. A young bear wades into the water and clumsily chases fish, catching nothing. An experienced adult occupies the best spot at a rapid, where the salmon leaps against the current and simply waits with its mouth open. The fish flies directly between its teeth. An expert bear catches salmon with an efficiency rate of 80%. That is higher than a professional fisherman with a rod. During periods of maximum abundance, bears become fastidious gourmets. They catch a salmon, eat only the roe, the skin and the brain, which are the fattiest parts, and discard the rest. 5 kilograms of flesh from a single fish, abandoned on the bank. Behind them come the eagles, the wolves, and the ravens. The bear, without intending to, feeds the entire ecosystem, even when it is only thinking about itself. Among the bears that are fishing, there is a strict hierarchy. The best spot goes to the largest male. The rest are distributed in order of seniority and size. The young ones fish at the smaller rapids downstream. The important thing is that conflicts are rare. Bears are pragmatists. Spending energy on a fight when there is so much fish around is simply foolish. The hierarchy functions without bloodshed. A single sideways movement of concession is already an accepted capitulation. Young bears in their first fishing season are a separate comic spectacle entirely. They throw themselves into the water, chase fish, fall down, get up, pursue the tails of salmon like puppies chasing a ball. Sometimes they catch a fish entirely by accident and get so startled that they let it go. The biologists who have watched this for hours have confessed that it is difficult to take it seriously as science when a 50-kilogram bear misses for the third time in a row trying to catch a fish the size of its own head. On a good day by the river, an adult bear devours between 30 and 40 large salmon. That is approximately 30,000 calories. During the spawning season, a bear accumulates up to 2 kilograms of fat per day. In 3 weeks of fishing, up to 40 kilograms of pure fat. That is its bank account for the winter. Each salmon is a fixed-term deposit that will only be opened in spring. Bears are solitary creatures, but it is not a solitude born of misfortune. It is a conscious and deliberate strategy. A single bear in a territory means more food, more resources, less competition. When two adult males encounter each other, it is always a moment of maximum tension. They stop. They assess each other. Size, scent, age. In most cases, the smaller one retreats of its own accord, without fighting, because the loser in a fight between bears often does not survive. When avoiding combat is impossible, the fight is terrifying. Two adult males, each weighing between 300 and 500 kilograms, rise on their hind legs and start working each other with their front paws like boxers. Strikes with the claws, bites, attempts to knock the rival down. These combats last from a few minutes to half an hour. When they end, both animals are covered in wounds. The loser leaves. The winner also leaves, just more slowly. The only exception to the rule of solitude is the female with her cubs. That is the social unit of the bear world. The mother and the cubs stay together for between 1.5 years and 2 years. During that time, she teaches them absolutely everything. Where to find food, how to avoid danger, how to behave around other bears. The cubs are students, and the school is tough. The mother does not forgive mistakes that could cost a life. A female with cubs is the most dangerous creature in the forest, not because she is aggressive by nature, but because she is protecting her children. She emits a particular sound, and instantly the cubs climb the nearest tree. Young bears climb trees faster than squirrels. While the children are safe up above, the mother deals with the threat, and she does not warn twice. Biologists have observed a female weighing 120 kilograms fearlessly confront a male weighing 450. He was approaching her cubs. She did not flee. She planted herself in front of him, roared, made false charges. In the vast majority of these cases, the male retreats because the price of victory, meaning serious wounds inflicted by an enraged mother, is not worth the effort. Sometimes the smaller one wins simply because it has nothing to lose. The cubs play constantly, and this is not mere fun. Every game is training. Wrestling teaches them to maintain balance and to strike. Chasing develops their speed. Climbing trees perfects their coordination. Nature did not create childhood as a period of rest. Every minute of play for a bear cub is an investment in the survival of the adult bear. Evolution knows exactly what it is doing. Grizzly and brown bear, the same animal, the same biological species, Ursus arctos. The grizzly is simply the American subspecies, but 10,000 years of separate existence under different conditions have made them noticeably different. The main external distinguishing feature is the hump. The grizzly has an enormous knot of muscle between its shoulder blades. It is not fat. It is the hydraulic system that powers its front legs, designed to flip rocks weighing several hundred kilograms. The grizzly's hump is a marvel of functional anatomy. Its muscles connect to the front legs and give them extraordinary force in the digging motion. A grizzly flips rocks, weighing 200 to 300 kilograms with a single paw. It excavates permafrost. It destroys a marmot's burrow with the same ease with which a human opens a tin can. The Siberian brown bear is physically weaker in this specific movement because it lacks that hump. The character of the grizzly was shaped by its geography. It lives in open spaces. There is nowhere to hide, often nowhere to run. So evolution chose a different strategy. Attack first with maximum possible intensity. The grizzly is more aggressive than the Siberian bear. It attacks preemptively if it perceives a threat. Its guiding principle is simple. The best defense is a devastating attack, and that strategy has worked for millions of years. The Siberian bear evolved in dense forests. its strategy is different. When faced with danger, it more often chooses retreat or observation. It can watch a human for hours without revealing itself. It reacts more intelligently to unfamiliar situations. This does not mean it is safer. It means it is harder to predict. The grizzly attacks openly. The Siberian bear may be waiting for the perfect moment. A fascinating fact: the polar bear is not a separate species in the deep sense. It descends directly from the brown bear from approximately 150,000 years ago. Irish brown bears are its closest genetic relatives, and today, in the zones where their ranges overlap, they interbreed and produce viable offspring, the so-called Pizzly or Growler bears. They are fertile and perfectly functional hybrids. Evolution has not finished. It is happening right now, as you watch this video. Throughout the entire history of human expansion across Eurasia, the bear has been its closest neighbor, and the relationship was never simple. Peasants feared it and venerated it at the same time. Killing a bear was considered a feat of valor. Its meat was eaten at special celebrations. Its claws were worn as protective amulets. Fear and respect always walked side by side, because human beings sensed that this creature belonged to a different order of existence. The most frequent conflicts revolve around beehives. The bear smells honey from many kilometers away. It arrives at night and methodically destroys everything. A single night's work and an entire year of the beekeeper's effort is wiped out. In Siberia, in Karelia, in the Krasnodar region, these cases are recorded every year. The bees sting it. It sneezes and presses on. Electric fences are the only thing that works with any reliability, but not always. Modern scientists study bears using GPS collars. This allows them to track every movement of the animal in real time. And the data revealed something surprising. Bears are not creatures that wander at random. They remember the exact location of every berry bush, every river with fish, every bear trail across a territory of hundreds of square kilometers. Their spatial memory surpasses that of many primates. In North American national parks, bears have grown so accustomed to humans that they have become brazen. In Yellowstone, cases have been recorded of bears walking calmly through tourist camps, ignoring people who were ringing bells, shouting and backing away in terror. The bear was simply heading toward an interesting smell. One tourist, in a panic, threw a sandwich at it. The bear caught it in the air, ate it, and kept walking. No additional motivation was required. Conflicts between bears and ranchers are a chronic problem in Alaska, Canada, and the Siberian regions. The bear comes for the livestock, especially in autumn during the period of hyperphagia. A single raid and several calves disappear. Insurance companies in Canada pay out tens of millions of dollars every year for bear-related damage. And at the same time, bears are protected by law. It is a balancing of interests with no easy solutions. The Ussuri taiga is the only place on Earth where two absolute predators share the same territory: the Siberian tiger and the brown bear. They arrived at that point by opposite paths. The tiger came up from the tropical forests of the south. The bear came down from the boreal forests of the north. They met in the Russian Primorye region, and that is not a peaceful coexistence. It is a permanent Cold War with periodic outbursts of hot violence. The tiger hunts the bear the same way it hunts any other prey: stealth, stalking, surprise attack from behind. The objective is to bite through the cervical vertebrae instantly. This technique works on a roe deer, on a stag, even on a wild boar weighing 200 kilograms. But with an adult bear, there is a problem that the tiger cannot easily solve. The neck of an adult male is covered by such a thick layer of muscle and fat that the tiger's fangs, at 8 centimeters in length, physically cannot reach the spine. When the tiger clamps onto the bear's nape, something happens that the feline did not expect. The bear uses its loose skin. It literally rotates inside it. The tiger has skin between its jaws, but the bear's face is already looking at it head-on. And then comes the strike. A paw delivering 1,500 kilograms of force. The tiger weighs between 180 and 200 kilograms. A single impact is enough to fracture its ribs. In an open frontal combat, the bear rises on its hind legs. It is a brilliant tactical move. It protects the vulnerable neck, raises the center of gravity, and frees the front paws for attack. The tiger is accustomed to prey that runs or falls. The bear does neither. It stands its ground and begins methodically working the tiger over with its front paws, like demolition hammers. The biologists of the Amur Tiger Project have documented a fascinating pattern. Bears regularly rob tigers. The bear hears or smells a prey animal freshly killed by the tiger and comes to take it. The tiger is a perfect hunter, but it understands something fundamental. Fighting a bear means risking serious injury, and serious injury in the tiger equals death. So almost always the tiger retreats and the bear eats its kill. This is called kleptoparasitism, or stated more directly, brazenness backed by physical superiority. According to long-term studies, in 50% of confrontations the bear wins. In 27% the tiger wins, generally when it attacks sleeping bears or young specimens. In the remaining 23%, both retreat with serious wounds. A key piece of context: the tiger only hunts bears intentionally when it is on the verge of starvation. An experienced tiger knows it is too costly a prey. It is better to hunt a deer. Less risk, more meat per unit of effort. In late August, something activates in the bear's brain. The satiety mechanism shuts off completely. The bear enters a state called hyperphagia, an uncontrolled and compulsive intake of food. It eats for 20 hours a day. Blueberries, blackberries, pine nuts, roots, fish, whatever comes its way. Its goal is to consume between 20,000 and 30,000 calories per day. That is roughly equivalent to 50 large pizzas every single day for 2 consecutive months. Over the course of summer and early autumn, the bear can double its body weight. A male that weighed 250 kilograms in spring arrives at November weighing 450 to 500. Of those, between 180 and 200 are kilograms of pure subcutaneous fat, and that fat is not merely a caloric reserve. It is thermal insulation. It is a source of water. It is raw material for manufacturing proteins and hormones. Without it, there is no hibernation. Without hibernation, there is no spring. Without spring, there is no future. Cedar pine nuts are the most important source of calories. 100 grams of pine nuts contain around 700 calories. A bear can eat several kilograms of pine nuts in a single visit to a cedar forest. It does not shell them one by one. It stuffs its cheeks, chews and swallows entire handfuls at a time. The chipmunks and squirrels that spent weeks collecting those nuts can only watch and protest, which is exactly what they do, and they do it loudly. During the hyperphagia period, bears become a genuine nightmare for farmers. A single night in a cornfield and several tons of harvest are destroyed. The bear does not discriminate. It devours and tramples and devours. In the mountain regions of Romania and Slovakia, the annual damage caused by bears to agriculture runs into millions of euros. Bears are protected by European Union legislation. The farmers are desperate. The bears are perfectly satisfied. Choosing the location for the winter den is a serious matter. The bear dedicates several weeks to this decision. It looks for a slope with good drainage, so that it will not flood with snowmelt. Protected from the wind. Difficult to access for other predators. Under the roots of a large tree or in a rocky crevice. Some dens are used by successive generations of bears. The same cave for decades. The den is a small room, barely a little larger than the bear itself. It enters backwards, settles in, and begins to wait. Outside, the snow gradually accumulates, and snow is the best thermal insulator that exists. Under a thick layer of snow, the temperature inside the den stays around 5 degrees Celsius above zero, even when it is 30 below outside. The bear has turned its refuge into a perfect thermos. The hibernation of the bear is not death, it is not unconsciousness. It is a state of millimetric precision. Body temperature drops from 37 to 31 degrees. Heart rate falls from 40 or 50 beats per minute to just 8 or 10. Breathing reduces to 1 inhalation every 45 seconds. Metabolism decreases by 53%. But here comes the truly extraordinary part. The bear maintains its muscle tone intact. Its muscles do not atrophy. Its bones do not lose density. This contradicts absolutely every known law of physiology. The bear's hibernation is not a deep sleep like that of rodents. A ground squirrel in hibernation drops its temperature almost to 0 degrees. You can pick it up in your hands and it will not wake up. The bear is a completely different matter. A disturbed bear wakes up within seconds. Any unusual sound near the den can rouse it from its torpor, and that is precisely why hunters who stumble accidentally upon a den find themselves in mortal danger. The animal comes out already in attack mode. There is a mystery that scientists spent decades trying to solve. How is it possible that a bear does not go to the bathroom for 6 months? The answer is fascinating. Its kidneys continue filtering the blood, but the urea is not expelled to the outside. The liver recycles it and converts it back into amino acids. Those amino acids are used to build new proteins. The bear literally recycles its own metabolic waste and transforms it into cellular building material. This mechanism is so extraordinarily efficient that NASA studied it as a model for long-duration space flights. In spring, the bear emerges from the den having lost between 30 and 40% of its weight. From 450 kilograms, between 280 and 300 remain. But even that is a marvel. It has retained 90% of its muscle mass. A human being who spends 6 months in bed cannot stand up on their own. The bear comes out of its den and within a few hours is already fishing. Its muscles were working during the sleep, performing minimal contractions to maintain tone. Biologists call this isometric exercises during sleep. Evolution invented a fitness program for the sleeping. The most astonishing thing happens in January. In the middle of hibernation, the female gives birth without fully waking up, in a state of semi-sleep. The cubs are born tiny, 500 grams, blind, naked, completely helpless. But instinct guides them to their mother's nipples. The milk of the female bear contains 30% fat. It is denser than any cream or heavy cream you have ever encountered. On that milk, the cubs go from 500 grams to 5 kilograms in just 3 months, and the mother does not eat or drink during any of that time. The fat of her body nourishes 2, 3, and sometimes 4 cubs simultaneously. In April, the cubs see the world for the first time. Everything is a discovery. Snow is a cold and strange material. The sun is too bright. The wind makes no sense. The trees are tall and fascinating. One cub saw its own shadow for the first time, got frightened and ran to its mother. Another tried to bite a pine tree and snorted indignantly. A third fell into a stream and howled for 3 minutes until its mother pulled it out. The learning begins. Life begins. Among bears, there is a phenomenon that scientists have documented on numerous occasions. Large males hunt cubs. It is not random aggression, it is pure strategy. By killing the cubs of another male, the dominant male achieves 2 objectives at once. He eliminates future competitors and returns the female to her reproductive cycle, because a female that loses her cubs becomes available for mating again. It is a cruel mechanism, but an efficient one. And that is precisely why females with cubs are the most dangerous creatures in the forest. Not out of innate aggression, but because they know the threat can come from their own kind. The female attacks everything that moves near her cubs. A human, another bear, a moose, everything. Her aggression is not blind rage. It is cold, calculated protection, and she is prepared to die for her cubs. Every predator in the forest knows this. Despite all the harshness of the bear world, the bond between the female and her cubs is astonishingly tender. The mother licks them for hours. She plays with them. She teaches them where to find food, how to navigate dangers, how to move through the territory. 1.5 years. That is how long the education lasts. Then she drives them away, because a new reproductive cycle is beginning. It is not cruelty. It is the law of the species. They will manage. She taught them everything they need. The bear is one of the most intellectually developed mammals outside the order of primates. Its brain is proportionally large. It uses simple tools. Cases have been recorded of bears in coastal areas using stones to open mollusk shells. In Alaska, bears learned to open the special bear-proof garbage containers which have multiple locking mechanisms through a process of trial and error. The designers of those containers often say that the difference in intelligence between a bear and some tourists is minimal. Bears detect camera traps. Zoologists have noticed that bears slow down when passing in front of hidden cameras, sniff them, and frequently look directly into the lens. Some individuals began deliberately posing for them. And this is no joke. 2 bears in Yellowstone were photographed hundreds of times. Both clearly knew where the cameras were, and on every pass they turned their faces toward the lens. Nobody taught them to do that. The spatial memory of the bear is extraordinary. It remembers the exact location of every berry bush, every river with fish, every feeding spot across a territory of hundreds of square kilometers. GPS studies have shown that bears return to specific trees and bushes year after year, with an accuracy of just a few meters. They do not search, they know. This is not instinct, it is memory. Scientists call them living maps. In Yellowstone, there was a famous bear nicknamed Yogi. He systematically opened tourists' cars in search of food. Over 8 years, he opened more than 50 vehicles, damaged several tents, and on one occasion snatched a backpack directly from the hands of a stupefied tourist. The park rangers relocated him 3 times to remote areas of the park. Each time he returned, crossing mountains and rivers, guided by memory alone. That is called intelligent and motivated. December, 40 degrees below zero. In a den beneath the roots of an enormous cedar, a bear should be sleeping, but it is not sleeping. Something went wrong. It did not accumulate enough fat, or loggers felled the tree and destroyed the den, or poachers disturbed the animal in October. The bear came out in January. It did not wake up, it came out, into the taiga, into the extreme cold, without sufficient fat reserves. A shatun has just been born. The shatun is a bear in a state of agony. Its body demands hibernation, but there is no fat to sustain it. The muscles begin to consume themselves. The body switches to protein metabolism. From the cold, the pads of the paws freeze. Every step is pain. To stop means to freeze and die. To keep moving means to keep suffering. The shatun has no choice. It moves always forward, toward the smell of food, toward warmth, toward a life that no longer exists. The psyche of the shatun is altered. Fear has disappeared. A normal bear goes around villages. The shatun walks straight toward the smoke from chimneys, toward the barking of dogs, toward the smell of garbage containers. It is as straight and relentless as a tank. It does not roar. It attacks in silence. In old Siberian chronicles, cases are described of shatuns that broke through the roof of a house or tore out window frames to reach the people inside. That is not hunting. That is desperation. The appearance of a shatun near a settlement is an emergency situation. The village closes. Children do not go out into the street. Dogs are brought inside. Experienced hunters are mobilized, along with police and sometimes emergency services. Making a shatun go back to a den is impossible. It will not leave. It has nowhere to go. For it, winter does not exist as a season of rest. For it, only pain and hunger exist, and it will go where there is food. For as long as it can walk, the fate of a shatun is always tragic. Even if it manages to find enough food, the freezing of its paws, the muscular exhaustion, and the metabolic disorder will not allow it to survive the winter. The shatun is doomed. It does not know this. It simply walks. And therein lies the entire tragedy of this creature. It is not a monster. It is not a zombie. It is just a bear that failed to fall asleep. And now it is paying for that failure the highest possible price. The bear is a fundamental engineer of forest ecosystems. One example is enough to understand this. It drags salmon from the river into the interior of the forest. The fish remains decompose and fertilize the soil. Scientists discovered that trees growing near the areas where bears feed grow 3 times faster than those far from the river. The nitrogen from the ocean, transported to the forest through the salmon and the bear, nourishes the trees. The bear is a nutrient transport system. Without it, the forest grows poor. The bear is also the most important seed disperser in the taiga. It eats berries whole and then travels tens of kilometers. The seeds, having passed through its digestive system, not only survive but germinate better, because the stomach acid weakens the protective coating of the seed. A bear covers up to 50 kilometers in a day and leaves seeds planted along the entire length of its route. It is an involuntary gardener. The taiga exists in part because of its work. Bears disturb extensive areas of terrain searching for roots, larvae, and rodents. After their passage, patches of turned earth remain. That is not destruction, it is ground preparation. In that earth turned by bears, seeds germinate faster and young forest develops better. Research in Scandinavia showed that in areas where bears are actively feeding, plant biodiversity is 23% higher than in areas where bears are absent. The bear feeds the forest even indirectly. The remains of its meals are used by eagles, ravens, foxes, wolves, and insects. In regions where there are many bears, the population density of other species is also higher because the bear generates food resources for the entire chain. Remove the bear, and the entire ecosystem begins to degrade. This has been demonstrated with the example of those regions of Europe where bears were exterminated in the 19th century. The polar bear is the largest terrestrial predator on the planet. Males reach 800 kilograms. It is a direct descendant of the brown bear that over 150,000 years transformed itself into the perfect machine for surviving among the ice. Its fur is hollow on the inside. It functions like fiber optic cable, channeling sunlight toward its black skin that absorbs the heat. Its paws are covered with hair on the underside to provide traction on ice. It can detect a seal beneath a meter of solid ice. The Asiatic black bear, also known as the Himalayan bear, is the closest relative of the brown bear, but it is a different species. It is smaller, darker, with a characteristic white patch on its chest in the shape of a crescent moon. It is an exceptional climber. It spends more time in the trees than any other bear in the world. It collects fruits, nuts, and honey directly from the branches. In Japan, it is called Tsuki no wa Guma, the bear with the moon. Its population in Asia is threatened by deforestation. The sun bear is the smallest bear on the planet. It weighs between 27 and 80 kilograms. It has the longest tongue of all bears, up to 25 centimeters, which it uses to extract honey from hives and insects from cracks in bark. Despite its small size, it is incredibly strong for its dimensions. Cases have been documented of sun bear attacks on adult humans that ended with serious injuries. Small does not mean harmless. The spectacled bear is the only bear that lives in South America. It inhabits the Andes, from Venezuela to Bolivia. It gets its name from the white rings around its eyes that resemble eyeglasses. It is an excellent climber that spends hours in the treetops eating fruit. It descends from bears that crossed the Isthmus of Panama from North America between 2 and 3 million years ago. It is the loneliest bear on the planet. Its closest living relative lives in Asia. The greatest threat to bears today is not hunters. It is the fragmentation of their habitat. Roads divide forests into isolated islands. The bear cannot cross a highway. The risk is too high. Its territory shrinks. Populations become isolated. Inbreeding increases. In Western Europe, there are only a few hundred brown bears left, scattered across the Alps, Cantabria, and the Dinaric Mountains. They are fragments of what was once a unified population. The polar bear faces the gravest threat. The Arctic ice is melting. The ice-free summer period grows longer every year. Seals, their main prey, become less and less accessible. Polar bears are forced to swim ever greater distances in search of ice floes. Cases have been documented of bears dying by drowning in open sea, exhausted after days of swimming without finding ice. According to the projections of biologists, if current rates of climate change are maintained, by the period between 2050 and 2080, 2/3 of the polar bear population could disappear. But there is also good news. In Austria, Italy, and Slovenia, bear reintroduction programs are being carried out. In the Carpathians, the population has stabilized. In Alaska and Canada, it is growing. In Russia, there are approximately 120,000 specimens. It is the largest population in the world. The bear does not give up. It adapts. It finds ways to live alongside human beings, sometimes to the mutual displeasure of both parties. Imagine you are walking along a trail, a bend in the path. 15 meters away, there is a bear. It looks at you. You look at it. Your brain issues a command: run. That is the most lethal command your brain can give you. The moment you start running, you activate the program in the bear that says pursue what flees. It is a reflex. Millions of years of evolution. It will reach you in 3 or 4 seconds. Do not run. Never. The correct behavior when encountering a bear is as follows. Stay where you are. Raise your arms to appear larger. Speak in a calm, low voice. Do not shout. Shouting sounds like the cries of wounded prey. Do not look the bear directly in the eyes. A predator interprets direct eye contact as a challenge. Slowly, without turning your back, begin to back away. Give the bear the information that you are a human being. Something strange, but something that does not run, not prey. False charges are part of the bear's repertoire. It rushes toward you at full speed and stops a few meters away. It is a test. If you run, it may pursue you in earnest. If you hold your ground, there is a high probability that it will leave. Holding your ground when a 300-kilogram beast charges at you at full speed requires enormous self-control, of course. But it is possible, and it is the only option. If the bear knocks you to the ground, play dead. Fall face down. Hands clasped at the back of your neck. Protect your throat. Your backpack will be your shield for your back. Spread your legs to make it harder to flip you over. Do not move. Do not shout. 90% of bear attacks are defensive. The bear wants the threat to disappear. When you stop moving, you are no longer a threat. The bear will leave. The best encounter with a bear is the one that never happens. Rule number 1. Never leave food in the tent or near the camp. Cook away from the place where you sleep. Hang provisions between 2 trees at 4 meters of height. Do not walk through the forest in silence. Talk aloud or use bear bells. Give the bear warning of your approach. It will leave first. That is its natural inclination. For the indigenous peoples of Siberia, the Evenks, the Yakuts, the Nanais, the bear occupies the center of their spiritual life. Killing a bear is a ritual that requires specific ceremonies. You do not say, "I killed the bear." You say, "I found the bear." Its true name cannot be spoken near the forest. Its bones are kept in a special manner. These traditions are not superstitions. They are the experience of thousands of years of coexistence with a dangerous creature, distilled into rules that protect both the human and the animal. We turn the bear into a stuffed toy. Paddington Bear, the Olympic Misha, Winnie the Pooh, all of them are good-natured giants with kind eyes. It is the most successful act of cultural reinterpretation in the history of humanity. We took a creature capable of snapping a bison's spine with a single blow and turned it into the hero of children's books. The bear, in all probability, does not care in the slightest. It is busy with more important things, eating wild raspberries and not reading children's books. The bear survived the ice ages. It survived the mass extinctions that wiped out most of the large mammals. It survived the invasion of human beings into its territory. It adapted to climate change, to the logging of forests, to the proximity of villages and cities. 12,000 years at our side, and it is still here. That is not stubbornness. That is what it truly means to be alive. While there is a bear in the forest is alive. This is not a pretty metaphor. It is a verifiable ecological reality. The bear is the indicator of an ecosystem's health. Where it is present, the forest is complex, rich, with multiple layers of life. Where it is absent, the forest simplifies, grows poor, loses diversity. The bear does not merely inhabit the forest, it creates it. With every step, with every hole it digs, with every salmon it drags from the river into the depths of the trees, a young bear roaming its territory for the first time carries within it millions of years of evolution. It does not know this. It simply sniffs the air and walks toward where the smell leads. But in every one of its movements, there is an answer from nature to the oldest question in the world. How do you survive in a place where only the best survive? The answer is simple. Be strong, Be intelligent, be patient, know your territory, and never give up. The bear is not the villain of a horror film, and it is not a toy with button eyes. It is a creature without equal in the sum of its qualities on dry land. A being that can fight a tiger, survive Arctic cold, cross oceans by swimming and smell you from 30 kilometers away. A being that gives birth to its young while sleeping and feeds an entire forest with salmon. A being that deserves our respect and our understanding. Its home is a territory where human laws do not apply. There, the right of the strongest prevails, the right of the most intelligent, the right of the one who best understands the rules of this world. The forest exists under its own laws. Those laws are older than us. They are wiser than us. And the best thing we can do is enter that world with respect, with knowledge, and with a full understanding of who the real master here truly is. The setting sun illuminates the taiga for the last time on this day. Somewhere down there,